welcome to Aiken this week. I'm Emery Langston. There are so many exciting initiatives on our horizon with projects and special things that are going on in our city. And I'm so pleased today to be joined by Jessica Campbell,
Thank you,
who is our Director of the City Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. And we're going to be talking about all the fun stuff, the capital projects, and getting an update on some really great projects that we're going to see come online here in the next year or so.
Yes.
So I thank you for being with us, Jessica.
Appreciate being here.
And we're excited to have this conversation today. Let's start with a project that has generated a lot of excitement. And I know that this is something that you have been working on, your staff has been working on, you've been gathering public input, and that's the Northside Park.
Right.
Let's talk about that a little bit. And, you know, I know that there are a lot of logistics that go into a project that is such a large scope, a lot of coordination, and y'all are still in the early phases of that. So let's talk about that and some of the basics of the project. And where's the project going to be located?
Sure. We are very excited about our Northside Park project. That obviously is on the north side. It is off of Highway 1. It's past the fairgrounds a little bit towards a public golf driving range.
Yes.
So there's some land there on the left-hand side, and the property is lends itself to a lot of growth and development for such a park.
That's such a great thing. So during the initial phase and looking at the property, what's the size of the property?
It's about 120 acres, and that is exactly what we need for developing a regional park of this size that will have just multiple aspects to it, from you know, different athletic complexes to trails for the community, to some other fun and exciting things that I'll share as we move on and talk about.
So that is quite a substantial piece of property. Just out of curiosity, how does that translate in size to give folks an idea or a scope? For example, Odell Weeks.
Right.
How big of a property is that?
Right. So it's larger than Virginia Acres, which is where Odell Weeks is located. Virginia Acres is close to 40 acres, and we have at Citizens Park close to 130 acres.
Wow.
So it's between the two, but yes, it's going to accommodate much more than Virginia Acres can accommodate currently.
Right. Well, I think I'm very visual, and so to have that frame of reference is to, you know, what the magnitude of this park is going to be on the north side is really just very exciting. And again, we know that this project is very large.
Correct.
So who are you working with on the project?
Right, so we went through a bid process to choose a design firm, an architect firm, to come in and to help us develop a plan for the Northside Park. And through that process, we chose CHA, and we were working with the project lead. His name's Patrick Graham. He's based out of Savannah, Georgia. And so he's visited with us a few times, and we've had meetings with staff as well as some community meetings to provide that input. So they are critical in this early design and plan phases of the project, and they're really gathering all the data that they need to make sure that they're going to give us the best concept moving forward.
Sure. And I know at the beginning of the month there was a community input session, and I assume that they took the lead on that and gathering that data, you know, to put together this master plan. Can you share some of what you heard that night? I know that the outcomes haven't been, or they're still putting together the outcomes. But what did you hear coming out of that meeting?
Right. We had 55 in attendance, which was wonderful for us to have that feedback from everyone. Participation was wonderful. Just to talk a little bit about the process, CHA categorized the different elements that typically go into a recreational park. The first of those being athletic fields or outdoor fields and sports. So we heard in regards to that element anywhere from beach volleyball, sand courts, to multi-purpose rectangular ball fields where you would do soccer or lacrosse or rugby, to accessible therapeutic fields for handicap accessibility, sports programming, from outdoor swimming pools to pickleball and tennis courts to basketball courts, a stadium for large event with large seating, disc golf, and the list continues.
That's a huge list.
Yes. So as you see, we do have to narrow down.
Sure.
And these were voted on, and some received much higher votes from the
Sure.
public than others. In reference to the element of a rec center, thinking of a gymnasium space, there was a lot of input for multi-use space, multiple courts to hold large tournaments such as volleyball tournaments or basketball tournaments. There was also talk of an indoor pool, an indoor track, an indoor exercise room. There was mention of meeting and banquet hall space, as well as racquetball courts, and of course storage room, office space, and even some agility training inside. So it was exciting to hear the different ideas outside of the scope of what we currently have in Aiken.
Sure.
And then in the element of park amenities was exciting as well. So these are things that are outside of your normal sports fields. And we had input on an amphitheater for the community, splash pad or spray ground area similar to what we have at Citizens Park, ropes courses to climbing walls, bicycle trails to walking and hiking trails, playgrounds of course, and picnic shelters. We've also heard of batting cages, as a dog park was even mentioned. And then your, of course, restrooms and concessions that you would see at a complex. So lots of wonderful information. We really did appreciate that input from the community. We've since taken those recommendations back to staff and have had a staff meeting where staff was able to give some input as well. And then all that was submitted to CHA, and they are hard at work now putting together a master plan based on those conceptions.
Very good. So getting more technical or detailed, because what a wonderful problem to have, I guess, is to have so many wonderful concepts and ideas and just be put forward that are so, they run the gamut. I mean, the range of what we're talking about. So what can you give us a glimpse about possibly what we can see to be built?
Right. The park's going to have to be developed in phases,
Sure.
Based on the amount of funding that we have currently to start the process, and obviously the scope of all these exciting things that the community would like to see. It just can't all happen at one time, so we'll phase it out. Initially, we definitely want to have the trails in place. That's something that can be utilized and put in place at a fairly reasonable price early on. So we know that we want that, the trails. We definitely have a need for the soccer fields or the rectangular multi-purpose fields, with Citizens Park being predominantly a baseball, softball complex. We need, and soccer and flag football and other rectangle sports are growing here in Aiken, and we hope to continue to see that trend of those programs growing. So we would love to go ahead and have some of those fields in place as well with the initial phase. We are excited. I think staff agrees that an amphitheater would be beautiful for this area, and again, when that would be developed is undetermined, but I think that's something we do want to pursue, as well as a gymnasium, center, so to speak, where there's multi-use courts indoors for the variety. Again, we have a very popular volleyball program growing here in the city. as well as basketball and pickleball for indoor court space. So there's a definite need there.
I love how you call it the rectangle sports, because I mean that's so true.
Right.
And you can use those multi-purpose fields. So lots of exciting things
Yes.
to see. So I know that you said that it will be phased.
Correct.
What is the timeline?
Right. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that has to happen
Yeah.
before we break any ground with building. And currently the master plan, the concept should be presented to us by May or in May, in which the city will review and agree upon. From that, then there's actual design development from that plan, and then there's construction documents that have to be prepared as well. So all that takes a little bit of time, and ideally we would like to have this bid out at the start of 2017. So it would go to bid. It would be, you know, a concept would be in place and would be ready to move forward then. That process can take, you know, a few months in itself. We'd love to break ground by summer of 2017. But again, what that entails, a lot of infrastructure is going to have to be put in place. Trees are going to have to be cleared. So there's some things you may see in the meantime, but a lot of behind the scenes and underground work before anything is put up on top of the surface.
Yes, and that does take time. But knowing that, you know, there's a plan and a timeline to get to where you want to be is so very exciting. You know, one thing that we have talked about before is to have something, to have a facility like this on our north side. You know, what a huge economic impact driver this is going to be, coming in off Highway 1, the infrastructure that's going to be put into place, a 4-lane highway. How exciting is that for everything that's going on the north side currently? So what a compliment to, or an anchor, actually, to things that are going to happen out there. So I know you're very excited about this project and anxious for it to come online, just as everybody else is. And I hope that as we go through this process, you can come back to Aiken this week and update us.
Yes, I'd love to share our plan with you once that vision is set, and we're excited for the growth that it's going to bring to the north side.
Well, let's talk about, I mean, because you have a lot of projects that fall under the capital project sales tax umbrella, with the I guess the largest one being the Northside Park, and the one that's created a lot of talk. But you have a lot of other stuff going on. You're tackling some trails at Citizens Park. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, it's exciting. Citizens Park is utilized often, and even more so this coming year for some 5Ks, which is wonderful for the city and for health and wellness. So we fully support that, and we're excited to be able to expand our current trail system there, and want to add some more connectivity within the park by doing so. So currently there is a trail at Citizens Park that loops around our major soccer field area. We call that Citizens Park 3. I know it can get confusing when we start numbering our fields. And then we have a trail that connects from, if you're going down Pine Log Road, sort of the bypass there, that connects back into the park near Citizens Park 2 complex. So this will really connect all 4 complexes within the park, 1, 2, 3, and 4, with a very a better approach to a walking trail for the participants and visitors there. So it's our goal, if you have a child that's, you know, playing an activity and the mom wants to, or the dad or the family member wants to walk, that you can still visually see the activity going on within the park, and maybe do a lap around the outer skirts of the ball fields.
That's what I was just thinking. When you were describing how this was going to look, I thought, wow, what a wonderful concept that this is going to be for families, and just accessing the different fields too. So that is really exciting. So how many miles of trail are going to be added?
We've got 2 phases on this as well that we're bidding out currently. The bids should be going out here in the near future. Hope to have the project completed in the spring. And based again on funding and what those bids come back in, we will either add, it's around 0.9 miles, so a little under 1 mile. And if we're able to do both parts, then it'll be like 1.8, so almost 2 additional miles of walking trail to be added to the complex.
That's really impressive.
Right.
And to be able to utilize it in that way. So that's exciting. So springtime.
Yes, that's the goal, and we're working with our capital sales tax project manager, Joy, on getting this out. There may be a possibility of some grant funding to help support it, and if so, then we can hope to accomplish both phases of that. So.
Well, very good. Making sure that, I think that this is a great segue in talking about the next scope of projects that you have. I know that accessibility is hugely important to everything that you do, making sure that your facilities are accessible to everybody, making sure that open space is accessible to anybody, making sure that trails. And I know that this has been a project to making some more accessible that y'all are tackling. So through the capital project sales, you're focusing on accessibility. So let's talk about some of those projects.
Right. We were happy through our hospitality tax funding this year to add ADA accessible doors to our rec centers. So that was completed in December. We have 2 doors at the Odo Weeks Activity Center. Your main entry and exit door to the lobby are now you push the handicap button and they open automatically. And then we were able to expand that inside the facility to our gymnasium entrance doors. So both Gym 1 and Gym 2 have that same capability with accessibility, and so we were very excited for that.
Sure.
Not only for those with disabilities that may be in a wheelchair, but just our senior adult population in itself at the Odo Weeks Activity Center is tremendous to have those in place. We were able to expand that as well to our Smith Hazel Activity Center, so they have entrance to their lobby as well. The same type of door.
Well, I think that's just great to make sure
right.
that all populations that we have can access your facilities.
Right.
So I applaud.
These facilities are so old. I mean, they were built in the 70s, and those just weren't things that were put in place at that time.
That's right.
We're excited to modernize and update where we can, and we hope to be able to provide more of that in the future.
Sure. Well, speaking of some of the older facilities, the structures that we have, let's talk a little bit about Smith Hazel. Needed some attention.
Right.
And so some capital projects funds have been able to be allocated to Smith Hazel.
Yes.
So talk to us about some of the great things that are going on, because I know that you've had some of those projects going on for a while.
Stages.
Yeah.
Right. In the past, we've done some ceiling tile work inside the building. We've done some gymnasium, repair work as well. The most recent was a roof repair over that portion, over the gymnasium portion of the facility, and we currently have bids out, or just received bids for the remainder of the Smith Hazel roof. So this is more of the side where some of the offices and the meeting space and the kitchen is located. And again, the age of that building speaks for itself. We deal with leaks on an ongoing basis. A rainy day like today is never any fun at Smith Hazel. So we're excited that this project is going to be underway. Again, those bids were just recently received, and awards will be going out this week for that process. That'll be about a 4 to 6 week process, again weather dependent, and we the total aesthetics of Smith Hazel will change from an outside perspective because of the roof design that we're moving forward with. Hope for it to be a metal seam with a pitched roof, so it really will lend to preventing these continuous leaks from occurring, but it should give it a nice aesthetic as well.
Right. So it was originally built with a flat roof. And so that really is going to change the aesthetics visually from the outside.
Right.
So lots of good stuff going on. Carpet,
Yes.
some different
Correct.
internal.
Right, and that'll be at both facilities, Smith Hazel and Odell Weeks. Yes, carpet's outdated, and you can only clean it so many times. So we're thankful to be able to get those projects underway in the near future as well.
Great, because I know both of Smith Hazel and Odell Weeks are so heavily used.
Right.
Seems like they're getting a lot more use as
Right.
time goes on, which is a wonderful thing. So yet another project that we've kind of talked about, which I think this is such an interesting use of space. And it also speaks to, I guess, how trends happen in the recreation field. But the courts at Virginia Acres,
Right.
there's some changes going on there.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
So the courts at Virginia Acres, this project it was our old skate park, and unfortunately that just wasn't a successful use of space for the city, and we made the decision a few years ago to close that area down. So we had this large concrete slab that wasn't being utilized in any way, and thankful we were able to put some funding in the budget, and were awarded again hospitality tax funds to repair that skate park into new courts, tennis courts, and we're adding pickleball courts into that as well. So that construction is underway. If you were to go by there now, you will see that concrete slab has been removed. It's down to the dirt, to the bare bones, and that process is ongoing, and we should have courts in the very near future.
That is really exciting.
Right.
I've had the pleasure of talking to some folks about pickleball on Aiken this week,
Right.
and we're going to follow up on that in the spring too. But again, what a creative use of space to repurpose.
Right.
And the pickleball is just growing
Right.
so fast
Right.
with interest that this is just, really, again, applaud your efforts of repurposing some space to bring in something that is fast growing and
Correct.
being enjoyed by such a wide range of people.
Yes, it is a growing sport in Aiken, and these will be open, free, public use courts, similar to the tennis courts adjacent to it. We'll include 4 pickleball courts and 3 tennis courts.
Wow.
And we're excited to see that utilized.
Yes.
Thankfully, here in Aiken, that can be done year-round pretty much.
Yes.
And again, we hope to have that open by May.
And I know that, Jessica, that you have worked so hard and diligently with all aspects of the recreation and parks with your department, but I know pickleball is something that was kind of near and dear to you.
Yes.
And they have and I know we're a little off topic on this, but they have a tournament that's going to be coming up this fall.
Yes, this will be the 3rd year, I believe, and they are taking it on themselves this year. In the
Wow.
past, we've utilized various tournament directors to come in, but we've got a wonderful group of leaders within the pickleball community there
Yes.
at Odell Weeks, and they are doing tremendous things for the sport here in Aiken, expanding it beyond the Odell Weeks Center. Into other areas of the community. But yes, there's going to be a wonderful tournament that brings in a lot of tourists into town and helps with boost our economy. So we're very excited to see how that pans out for us this year.
Well, I can't wait to talk and have those folks on and
Yes.
talk more about pickleball. But you raised such a good point with the events that are hosted at Citizens Park, and the economic driver that recreation can be is just it's really incredible.
Right.
The folks that come in and are able to enjoy our city, spend the night, eat at our wonderful establishments, and just enjoy because they're coming here for tournaments.
Right.
Because they're coming here for to participate in whatever we have going on, and I know that is a testament to you and your staff to keep those things going.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
I think that's terrific. As we're kind of wrapping up today, getting close to our time, we've talked a lot about progress, and there's some bigger projects that we have focused on. But I know that you've got a lot of other really great stuff. You've got some camera improvements on the horizon.
Right.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I believe that would be our Hall of Fame camera system. We're just really trying to update and expand its current area. But we do have a lot of, like you said, smaller projects, but are still very important to us.
Yes.
Another would be our gym curtain at Odell Weeks. I mean, it's something that's probably overlooked and not thought about by the community. But those in there that actually play in the sports, it's holes in it, and it's just in poor condition. So we're able to make that update as well here shortly. From parking lot at Virginia Acres, it needs lines repainting. So just a lot of maintenance and upkeep. We already talked about the ceiling tiles and the grids in the buildings. Even something else with Smith Hazel is an awning that we'll have on the front doors. Again, today is a perfect example of why something like that is needed, especially when our senior adults come and go. That they're being protected from the weather. So it's a lot of small projects here and there, but we hope that it's noticed by the community and appreciated by the users of our facilities.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will be, and those small projects that are so important, we can get really excited about, new parks on the horizon and things like that. But it really does matter when you've got a nice awning that doesn't have holes in it, when you're going to enjoy the facilities, and I know that upkeep on everything that you have in your inventory is always an ongoing thing. So, Jessica, is there anything that we haven't talked about today in our discussion that we might have left out that you want to touch on?
Another one I was just thinking of is our bathroom renovations as well. So again, a lot of projects that have started at some point in the past, and just with funding we've had to put on hold. So recently, or last year, we were able to renovate our locker rooms at the Odell Weeks Center, and we're able to expand that now to some of the back restrooms as well as the front restrooms. So that's again just another smaller project that's important for the users of the community, of the facility. But most importantly, yes, we are just on board with this Northside Park, and so excited for what that's going to bring. We have another meeting in the near future with CHA just to have a little bit more feedback and input, and so the process is going really well.
Good.
And they are key. They have all the qualities and the background, and they're just known nationwide for their design work, and we're excited to see what they're able to bring to Aiken for us.
Absolutely. So we will be very excited to have you back to see how the concepts and designs are playing out through the process of the phasing. So I can't thank you enough for being here today and giving us an update on everything exciting that's going on for the City Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. And we'll look forward to having you again.
Appreciate that. Spring sports are right around the corner, so if your kids haven't registered, go on by Citizens Park, and it's not too late. It's never too late when you have a child that wants to be active in something. That's what we do. So
yes, active.
There's something for everyone.
Healthy lifestyle, wellness. Boy, you've got a pretty good job.
Oh, I love it. Love what we do.
Thank you for joining us today on Aiken This Week, and we'll see you next time.